You're listening to PlayStation Unchained.
Hello and welcome to PlayStation Unchained episode 76, and I can't believe it, we've gone past the milestone of 75. Oh, only 14 more. No, 24 more. See, I can't even do counts. I can't do maths today.
Well, it's 14 more till the 90th, which is also a milestone, I suppose.
Yeah, 90. Yeah, I'll do. 24 till 100 though. And as you can hear, we've got our amazing co-host with us this week, Neil Bolt.
Hey, and hello.
Hey Neil, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Got over an illness that sounds like you've now got. So, though I've nothing to do with your illness. So, don't let the rumour mill start.
You just wanted to make sure this podcast was sabotaged so that we don't just end up rambling the entire podcast.
That's it. Well, I like having the slightly huskier voice. You know, it goes over better with the old listeners.
I'll blame Stephen for some reason. You see, he's away, and because he's away, I've become ill because I'm sad that he's away.
It's eating at your very soul.
Yes. And we've got a newcomer this week. Well, not newcomer, but newcomer for the podcast. You'll know him on the forums as Wax Weasel, and you'll know him on here as Kevin. Or we can just call him Wax Weasel, whichever is easiest.
Your choice. I don't really mind either way.
Let's go with Kevin because why not?
Yeah.
Until we have another person named Kevin, then you're going to be Wax Weasel.
No, the only other Kevin we have is fictional, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, but we might be able to get him on someday, somehow. Even if we have to get an actor to do it. I mean... Yeah.
If you're really into calling me Wax Weasel, then just do so.
Kevin sounds better.
Kevin sounds better.
Okay.
So Kevin, welcome to the cast.
Thank you.
Have you listened to previous casts before, especially ones with me and Neil?
No, not yet. Haven't really checked out any of the podcasts myself because I usually end up clicking it away and not really paying attention to it. So
that's not really. But okay,
you're in for a treat.
You're in for a treat. You're in for the greatest podcast you've ever seen in your life.
All right, I hope so.
So while we're talking about amazing, great news, I think we should go straight to news because logic.
That's the format.
Yeah. So I think I've got some good news here actually. Formula Fusion, the spiritual successor to Wipeout, gets the green light. With Formula Fusion hitting Kickstarter just 30 days ago, the Wipeout successor now has ended its campaign with a total of £79,656. With only 24 hours to spare, it seemed like the second stretch was not going to be met as the proceeds were sat at under 63,000. Well, we just spoiled it with the top number, didn't we?
There you go. Sorry.
We did it. They did it. Well, we didn't do it. They did it.
They did it. We can take credit.
Yeah, we'll take credit for what they did. However, Fast and Frantic Final Day, the number jumped up to 75,000, ranking it another impressive 70,000. So yeah, a new Wipeout, which is...
Not Wipeout, but Wipeout.
New Wipeout looking thing.
Wipeout 2.0.
Wipeout 14186.
Either that was just random numbers or a really good equation.
4,186, because it's the sequel to 2097.
You've been all clever.
No, 4,184. Yeah. So it's a sequel though. But it's not really a sequel, it's a spiritual sequel, which means that though it uses the same sort of concept of Wipeout, the same sort of gameplay as Wipeout, it's not Wipeout because of copyright.
Yes, in the same way that Mighty Number 9 is Mega Man and Bloodstained is Castlevania and Yooka-Laylee is Banjo-Tooie.
So let's go with Kevin. What do you think of this new news about Formula Fusion?
Well, I personally never really played any of the Wipeout games, so I'm not really familiar with them. But it's really nice to see that such a game, without actually having a lot of advertising around it, actually hit such a goal pretty fast, actually. Makes it interesting to see what people actually are interested in do as a game.
Yeah, it's these big projects as well just sort of help the smaller ones on Kickstarter. It's just people clamour for the old school stuff, and it just brings more attention to Kickstarter. They might pick up on little things and fund those as well. Yeah, it's just some nice things getting funded at the minute, I think. Yeah.
I think they should use half the fund to bring back Ami Nakajima. I think I just butchers her name, but she did cosplay for Wipeout.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. I met her at Eurogamer.
What, she dressed up as one of the ships?
No, she's just in like the outfits. Yeah, not the actual ship. No, that'd be weird. But no, she's
would it really be weird though? You know,
it'd be amazing, but it'd be a bit weird.
So a pair of legs in high heels walking around dressed as a Wipeout ship. Like,
and then it should have a ship that makes the sounds.
or it just goes around going whoosh whoosh whoosh.
And then they should just make a fake track and make it actual Wipeout cosplay racing.
Wow, that'd be cool.
That'd be amazing.
You could have different vehicles from different, stylized racing games.
Yeah. See, we've already made a new game, a
new concept.
You should, that's amazing.
A new convention.
So there's a new Kickstarter coming up then after this podcast.
We'll have the bucket.
Please
ready.
be excited. Okay, while we're talking about exciting things, let's go to The Witcher 3. PS4 patch 1.03 releases due next week. Developers looking to fix the frame rate issues. CD Projekt Red has revealed that patch 1.3 of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of the critically acclaimed Witcher 3 will be available next week to download. While the patch is already available for PC, the game consoles will have to wait a little bit longer because of, PlayStation having to approve all the updates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have many frame rate issues with it.
I only had some frame rate issues when the little clips in between were playing. Then I noticed sometimes that it was like a little bit laggy, but eventually with just gameplay itself, I didn't really have an issue.
I had some issues with like if I'm saving, then the frame rate will drop for a second. When I manual save.
I've often found it is one of those that you have to be taking a certain path of action for these things to get worse. Because back when Skyrim had so much trouble on PS3, I had none of it. I had such a clean run through, and then I went on to Fallout 3 and thought I'd have the same thing. Oh, I'll have a nice clean run through there. But no, 60 hours in, I could not play the game. It just stopped moving. The frame rate got that low. Yeah. It's just. When you got big open world games, these things tend to happen a bit more because there's more that can go wrong, and all the testing in the world won't change that, sadly.
And it also helps that there's so many people who purchase The Witcher 3, me included, that you can't test every possible outcome for a game because there's so many people that purchase. You might have like 2,000, 3,000 testers, max.
That's it.
But if you got 1 million people buying it,
yeah.
There's always going to be people disappointed at something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
No, and to be fair, there's been very little thing about it compared to, say, an Assassin's Creed doing the same thing. Probably because the game behind it is so good, but it's just
I'm enjoying it.
I'm not there yet with that one, but I will be at some point.
See, I haven't played it much because I've got reviews to come up soon, but from what I have played of it, I've liked it.
It's good.
I think we should go to Sony files trademark for the player. But what is it? Who knows? This is by Mike Harrodens, who sadly couldn't make it tonight because
again
he
he's
has
not
social.
dead.
He's social. He has people to talk to. So yeah, he's not here, which makes us sad. But
also means
we've got nobody to hold us back.
That'll be Ben fired from the podcast next week.
I'm the head of the podcast. I can't be fired. Sony has secured a new trademark filing via GameSpot with the United States Patent and Trademark Office when I'm called The Player. While it is unknown exactly what The Player is, the filing is registered to Sony Pictures Television and also pertains to video games in some capacity. The trademark is linked to two good servers, the first being Double Electronic Game Software, video game software, and the second to entertainment software in the nature of dramatic television series. I would love it to be like a video show thing where people come on and play video games for prizes, like esports, but
like Games Master.
yeah, like Games Master. That would be amazing. but I think it'll probably be like a sequel to The Tester, if anything. Where
That's actually good. Cool.
So, yeah, The Tester was a TV show that Sony did for a while where people would go on stage and do something. I never watched it, I'll admit that. But anyway, the prize was you were a games tester.
Yeah, at the end of it.
It's not much of a prize, really, if I'm honest. You don't. It sounds good, but it's not really.
It's something.
Congratulations!
God.
You'll get to play the same game bit over and over again for the next
Oh
few
god,
months.
can you imagine the people that had to do that for Escape Dead Island?
No, they didn't hire anyone for that.
Probably because everyone got about 2 minutes into it that got hired and said, no, done, sorry, out. Sorry, there's just too much to comment on.
That's where they got the title from.
Yeah. Escape.
It's the testers escaping from the game. Aha! We'll call it that. It's perfect. So, Neil, what do you think the player is going to be? Do you think it's testing? Or do you think Sony's going to some sort of pimping TV show?
It'll probably be one of those reality type shows that aren't reality. And there'll be like Powers. It'll probably be something that's shown exclusively through the PlayStation Network. And I would say it'll have something to do with real people and something to do with playing games somewhere along the line. It'd be cool if it's like a contest show, because we need something like that. As long as we have a good Saki host,
I should be the host.
You should be the host. You're the new Dominic Diamond.
That would be an amazing job.
That would be a great job, but
nobody would tune in though.
I don't think you get that with a big company like Sony, that you get someone that much like a Dominic Diamond type who's just going to take the mick out of everything. So, but yeah, here's hoping, eh?
And Kevin, what do you think?
I don't know. I actually never really saw a TV show or something like you guys have where gaming was involved.
Go watch Game Master. We can pause the podcast and record it in 20 minutes.
Go on YouTube.
I'll write it down and I'll look at an episode later.
Good. Later seconds now.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
No, I'll check it out later because I'm curious. I don't know really what to expect. So.
And I couldn't really describe it. It's just cheesy, weird stuff, but it's funny for what it is. Looking back at it when you're older, because we were kids when I watched it personally, and later on you realise how much innuendo is in it and how much sarcasm. And it's like, it's a shame they didn't carry on doing things like that in the later years.
There was also, I think it was called Age of Camelot.
Age of Camelot?
I think it was called this or something like that. It was a UK-based video game show where some kids were forced to play this touch-based strategy puzzle RPG game. As you did each level, you got a key, and then if you died, you were locked out. It was like Crystal Maze, but video games.
What, like Nightmare?
That was it, Nightmare.
Nightmare's awesome. They still show that on TV now. I think it's on Challenge TV in the UK.
I don't know why I got Age of Camelot, but I was thinking of.
But yeah, basically the guy in the game has a helmet on that he can't see anything, and his teammates have to tell him which way to step to get out of the dangers and stuff. It is ridiculously naff, but it's funny as.
I want that, but with Uncharted.
I feel outnumbered not being from the UK because I've never seen any of these shows.
At least you get a list of TV shows to watch.
That's something. That's something.
There's nothing on TV, so it's not like you're going to be missing anything.
As you can tell, because we're talking about shows from the 1990s.
Crystal Maze, that was a great show as well.
Richard O'Brien.
Some good shows.
Shall we move on to another story of the news?
Okay, so Blank 4 welcomes back former Naughty Dog developer after staying at Ubisoft. The developer behind the hotly anticipated PS4 exclusive sequel Unchained 4: A Thief's End has welcomed back a former employee after a 9-month stint at Ubisoft. David Ballard worked at Naughty Dog from 2009 to 2014 when he was involved with Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, The Last of Us, and been before departing from Ubisoft to develop a AAA next-gen title as senior environment artist. However, he's now returned to Naughty Dog, working as multiplayer level designer. Oh god damn it. Anyway, carry on. Uncharted 4 was originally on holiday 2015, but was delayed to spring. Oh, that's why. Multiplayer, isn't it? That's the delay.
Yeah.
No. Bad Naughty Dog. You're a bad Naughty Dog, because you're going to just do the same as you did last time. And,
But flashier.
Make microtransactions for every bit of costume for Drake. Oh, do you want a special ring? That'd be something like pence. Oh, you want a hairstyle? That'd be £1. Oh, you want a new spazzy t-shirt? Oh, that'd be...
Yeah, I'd like to say that they might have... I'd like to say they changed the tune, but then there's the taunts pack from Last of Us.
Do you want Uncharted 3 taunt pack? £2.90.
Oh, God.
Do you want 60 frames per second? 60p. 1p per frame.
Penny a frame. Come get your frames per second. Penny a frame.
Neil Bolt, I'll ask you what you think about this, but it's going to cost you $2.50.
Hang on, I forgot my wallet.
Fair enough.
Can you spot me till next week? It's a
pre-order anyway, so you don't have to pay up front.
That's true. Yeah, and I can cancel that pre-order in a minute. So, I mean, I can retract my statement. Yeah. What's to say about that, really? About all that panic people had about people leaving Naughty Dog a while back. It's like just coming back anyway.
They just missed their family.
They just went to go and mess things up at Ubisoft instead. It's almost espionage, actually, to think about it. Yeah. The amount of time you went away, and that's the decline of Ubisoft. Yeah.
It probably was, like with whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
Didn't one of Sony's heads go to Microsoft for a bit before Xbox One?
Yeah, I think I was right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Then the Xbox One didn't work. Phil Spencer wasn't... I thought Phil Spencer was Sony at one point.
I don't recall that being the case, but...
Who was it? I know there was someone that was Sony and then went over to...
Well, he obviously wasn't very important.
Yeah. Oh, Phil Harrison, that was it.
Okay, now I'm going to get people screaming at me, going, "What? You don't know nothing."
I don't know anything. Yeah, Phil Harrison made boss of Microsoft's European Game Studio. That was Sony.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
For shame. See, I can retract that statement as it was a pre-order statement.
Yeah, pre-ordered it. Cancel it. Because...
There you go. Yeah, it was that guy.
Yeah. But that was just before the Xbox One.
Yeah.
There, see?
It's genius when you think about it. It's
so smart. And we thought we worked it out, Sony. We worked out your evil denial, evil schemes. It only took us 3 years, but we did it.
Yeah. If you don't want us revealing more details, there's
an email it.
There's a Swiss bank account with my name on it. Well, there isn't, but there can be.
There might be.
Yeah.
I just don't have one yet. Or do I?
Just put it in a brown paper bag, leave it outside my front door.
I think before we keep rambling on about this, Kevin.
Before
we ramble even more about this, Kevin. What do you think of the thing that I forgot what we were talking about now?
About Uncharted 4 welcoming back the former
Naughty Dog? Uncharted 4 welcoming back people.
Well, honestly, I don't really have an opinion about it. I mean, it's just a job. Just because one person's gone doesn't mean the whole game is suddenly fucked up or anything. So,
yeah,
I don't know. This guy's just trying to get a job or trying to get more work. So I don't see the problem in it.
Yeah,
there's nothing really special about it.
Yeah, so they downsize after projects.
There's no point keeping all the staff hired because if you've done all the sound stuff for the game, you're not going to have him. Mate, we've done all the gun sounds, we've done the background music, we've done the gameplay, we've done the cutscenes, we've got nothing for you to do. So what we're going to do is going to pay you $10, and you can sit in that corner spinning a wheel.
Oh man, that'd be a cool job.
The only thing that Ubisoft was lucky because for 9 months they actually had someone who was able to change some positive things because all their games are broken these days, and that's just wrong. So for 9 months they actually had someone who made a game that wasn't broken.
Maybe we won't see the now. I don't think it's the staff's fault. It's in fairness, it's down to deadlines with them. I think it's just if they didn't put such ridiculous deadlines on their games in the first place.
I don't know. I don't think it's entirely with deadlines because if you look at Assassin's Creed Unity, I mean, they're just continuously pushing out a new game for the series instead of taking the time and actually making proper changes to it and everything.
Yeah, Unity's problem was they had too many people working on it.
Yeah,
from different studios, and they obviously somewhere there was a communication break about what they were doing because
a big one.
Yeah, it is literally you can see
Chinese whispers.
Yeah, you can see the ideas on there, and you can see that they're different ideas that have not been pieced together very well, and that's the most frustrating part about Unity because it could have been something really good had maybe 2 teams been working on it. But what was it? 7 teams in the end? I think it was. They had
more than that, wasn't it?
No, I think it was about 7.
No. It's almost as much as Call of Duty then. Well, just more than Call of Duty because Call of Duty is 6, isn't it?
Yeah, but then they split that between 3, so that's different, and they know what they're doing, to a degree. Kind of, well, Call of Duty may get a lot of crap. But it's but they do it and they make it work.
That unique IP that I keep advertising.
What, Tony Hawk's or Guitar Hero or
Tony, don't bring up Tony Hawk's because that just makes me sad.
I feel you, bro.
They're rebooting the series and going back to its roots. Yay! It will have projectiles and fireballs.
It was dead to me a long time. Yeah,
wow.
It was just dead to me a long time ago, and it's just.
The idea I have now is that it's sort of gonna feel like it's Tony Hawk, but instead it's Mario trying to fire off some projectiles.
That's what it is, isn't it? I can actually see it. Someone in the Activision conference calls were just saying, "Oh, you know what we could do with Tony Hawk? We could make it like Mario Kart." And before he got to finish and say, "I meant that we could make it a really fun multiplayer game for all the family," someone said, "Yeah, we should have frickin' fireballs and shit." It's like, that'd be great. It's like,
Mario's doing good, so
come on.
All I want is skateboard DLC for Mario Kart now.
And then they realised I reckon they spent all the budget on that meeting. Then went, you know what? We haven't really got the budget to make the game, so just fork it out to the nearest company that can do it.
They just got bored of companies, so they just threw it at dartboard.
Yeah, it's probably like pass the parcel, I think, at Activision with franchises that aren't Call of Duty. They just hand it off to each person on their different divisions, and then
I've got a hat. Yeah. Who wants it? Who wants it?
Oh God, I've got to make another Spider-Man game.
Okay, let's go to while we're talking about reboots. I've tied this in by some magic.
Oh, the segue
to the next title. Need for Speed reboot announcement.
Sorry, Need for Speed. That would be awesome.
Need for Speed.
I'm gonna go hardly diddly fast. Anyway.
Speederoonie.
There you go.
Okay, so it's now called Need for Speederoonie reboot announced for PS4. Electronic Arts has announced a full reboot of Need for Speederoonie franchise for PS4, PC, and Xbox One. In development at Ghost Games, Need for Speederoonie will run on the same version of the Holy By engine as the upcoming Star Wars Battlefront. It is said to be a full reboot of the long racing game. God, man. Need for Speederoonie is one of the most iconic names in games. We'll return it to greatness in the reboot, said Ghost Games. Its executive producer, Marcus Nielsen, sorry.
It's a bit fitting, right? Ned Flanders and having a Ghost Games.
The Ghost of Maud Games.
Pulling on our 20 years of history, which is almost as long as The Simpsons, and then taking a year out from releasing the game, we're making the game we always wanted to. We'll listen to
About
the
Ned.
we'll listen to the fans and deliver an experience that can capture their imagination. See, that sounds something like Ned would say. And unleash their passion for cars and speed and safety. EA confirmed their full reveal of the game will take place next month, or of course on this podcast. Most likely E3 for now. Check out your official trailer below, which, as this is a vocal thing, you cannot watch it.
And it features no Ned Flanders.
And there's no Ned Flanders in it, which means this is not the real trailer.
It's a fake.
Anyway, so if you want to see the trailer, go to psu.com for the Ned for Speed-a-Rooney trailer.
Yeah. Otherwise, search Google and find the real one, because it's clearly not right.
It's not the right one.
Oh, and you know what? I was going to tell them off for not really needing to do a reboot of Need for Speed, because you're still just driving cars. And yet, here they are, adding a beloved character of The Simpsons. And it's mad, isn't it? Now we know why Harry Shearer left The Simpsons. So he could voice Need for Speed.
No, Ned for Speed Rudy.
Yeah, as the new Ned for Speed. Speed Rudy. It's great.
Hi diddly ho, driver. Take a left, Rooney.
I'm crying from this laugh. Neil, while my tears, what do you think?
I think I said what I feel really.
Okay, well, Kevin, what do you think about this? Ned for Speed-a-Rooney.
Well, Ned has always been a really good influence in the series, so no, I never really played much of the Need for Speed series. Maybe some of the older games, like Most Wanted, the original one, not the remake. And I had some fun on that one and some other ones that I can't even remember the title of. I remember playing it on PSP, but yeah, I don't know. For me, it's not really something that I'm waiting for, but for the fans of the series, I guess it's a nice thing to see another Need for Speed pop up.
I'm looking forward to it now.
What worries me is it's another game where EA have just gone back to their pasts. Like they did it with Star Wars Battlefront, and now they're doing it with this being basically underground free, because people have just moaned about it for years. Oh, I want another one of those. It's like, but none of the people that worked on those games are working on this game now. And people are just going to be very, very disappointed if it's not exactly like that, but shinier, effectively.
I think we've covered Ned for Speed-a-Rooney enough now.
Yes.
To be honest, we have created the superior game anyway. Again, we're just good.
You look out for that at E3.
Yeah.
You know.
It will be crowdsourced by Indiegogo. The Witcher. Anyway, let's go to some more news. The Witcher 3. Some more Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 dev responds to visual downgrade accusations we didn't see as a problem. Users flocked to NeoGAF. Remember to check out neogaf.com. There's loads of news there. Claiming that the game, who was released worldwide on Tuesday for PS4, PS4, PC, and Xbox One, was also represented in marketing efforts such as 2013 VGX trailer. The final product, they said, looks completely different to the current game. So yeah, in response to this criticism, Martin Iwinski, sorry if I butchered your name, co-founder of the CD Projekt Red, told Eurogamer, "We do a certain build for a trade show and you pack it, works, it looks amazing. You're on me get, and you're extremely far away from completing the game. And then you put it in the open world, regardless of the platform, it's like, oh, beep, it doesn't really work. We already showed it, now we've got to make it work, and then we've got to try to make it on a huge scale, and this is the nature of game development. People saying that 2013 was better, but actually there's plenty of things that's improved since 2013. Size of world, frame rate per second. Game suggested, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to read the whole article, because what's the point of going to our website and reading the article? But anyway, so yeah, basically they said there's not much difference. I don't mind the graphics, they still look stunning for me for an open world game. They may not look like they did before, but they still look damn good. Damn Rudy. Good. If I do say myself.
Yeah, I did see a very good analogy for it the other day, which is like basically someone saying, you know, it's like, look at this outstanding cake. And it's like, it's not mega outstanding anymore though. It's
still
like,
cake though. I want it.
Yeah, and it's still outstanding. It's just that it doesn't look as pretty. It's the same as any game. Come on, they never look as good as they initially do.
Am I the only person in the world that thinks that I don't care what cake looks like? Sorry,
to a degree.
It's completely nothing to do with games, but cakes, I'm sorry, but it's going to be in my stomach. My stomach doesn't care how pretty it is.
That is pretty much my attitude to lager. So.
And I have a pretty big stomach.
I don't care if it costs I don't care if it costs $1.99 for 4. If it does the job, that's all that matters.
And I have a pretty big stomach, so yeah. You can judge cake just well. So yeah, sorry about that, Neil.
It's all right.
Cake.
It's okay. I went there, so it had to happen.
Have to know your priorities.
Yeah.
Cake is important. I haven't had cake in over a year, so.
You haven't had cake in over a year?
Yeah.
I just had a Viennese whirl.
Oh.
I don't even like cake.
Oh my god, this is just... What's going on in the world?
Well,
People not eating cake.
Everyone.
People not liking cake. People not eating cake.
Send your hate mail at.
So I will tell them that.
Yeah, no, nothing about... Anyway, carry on, Neil. Sorry.
I don't know, I'm still fixated on Viennese whirls now. What were we talking about that wasn't Viennese whirls?
Visual downgrade of The Witcher 3.
Okay, pish tosh. It's just like every other game. It's like, it's going to look better when they first show it off for that very reason they want to show it off. It's like, they've always said it's developed with not just PC in mind this time around, so that argument is really invalid for once, I would say, that they've downgraded. It's like, all they've done is they've done their vertical slice, showed what they think it will be like to promote it to the public. It's not going to look like that in the end. And I still can't quite believe people fall for that. It's like with the recent footage for Battlefront. It's like, it won't look like good. It really won't. Yet people are still sort of lured in, and then they're angry later because, oh my god, they didn't make this game look as good as it did in the trailer. It's like, yes, because you're actually controlling it. And, you've got your HUD up and stuff's happening that isn't being controlled like in a trailer. It's as ever a bit of a fuss about nothing.
And Kevin, what do you think of this downgrade nonsense?
Pretty much the same as Neil, honestly. I mean, as he said, they create this little piece of the game to show off, like, this is what we made, this is what it will look like, sort of. This is how it will play. But it's never really the same as the game eventually will look like, because they make it to show off. It's logical in my eyes that the game is not the same until it's actually released and on your own screen. But people don't want to realize that. They just want to say, like, I see this footage, I want it to be the same, else I'll complain like hell. Yeah. And I don't get that, because eventually they'll complain all the time about blah, blah, the game looks bad, the graphics are worse than you showed us. But, I mean, isn't that a little bit logical? Because eventually, after creating more and more, you have to come across some problem that's sort of giving you a limitation that you have to work around with.
Exactly.
Bringing down the graphic quality, in my eyes, is just one of the logical decisions at the moment, because you don't want to take away actual gameplay. So I don't see the whole tiers around it personally. Same thing was happening with Watch Dogs when it was released. I mean, at first we saw a stunning trailer, then the game got released, and it looked nothing like it. I mean, okay, Watch Dogs was quite a downgrade, but still... I think that's the logic.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. It's things like that just get people in a tiz and then just label everything with the same thing, saying, oh, it looks so terrible. But this time that it's just people whining because it's not been as big an issue as Watch Dogs was.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, even for Unity's problems, it's like the trailers were quite an upgrade from what happened there, but no one seemed to care as much about that at the time, and it still wasn't something that was brought up when Unity had its problems later on in the time. And then recently with the Syndicate trailer for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it was they're pretty much showing it as it is, which oddly enough had the opposite reaction of people going, oh, it looks rubbish. Like that.
Yeah,
Doesn't look
exactly.
Right. Yeah, so like you can't win. So
I saw the trailer and I thought, this game's gonna look pretty good because that's really good for a game to look like in my eyes. And then there's other people like, blah blah, this looks bad, I don't like it, they could have done way better. But nobody seems to realize that mostly a game, when it's revealed, they show like a random trailer or a reveal trailer like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
While Assassin's Creed, they actually showed you gameplay of what it will look like, how it will play. That's the only thing at the moment I like about Assassin's Creed.
And it's got to have been done in mind with what happened with Unity and with their other games, like Watch Dogs. I mean, The Division is also showing signs of that. They showed off this prettified version of everything that's going to happen, and of course, the next time they showed it, it didn't look as good, and then it didn't look good again, and then the delay happened. So yeah, it's ambition, and as we were saying earlier about the whole vertical slice thing, is that it's in an area where, especially with open world games, this is that when you have an open world, there are so many variables, as we said earlier, and that can make all sorts of things happen or run at different speeds or just not know what's going to happen. And that vertical slice doesn't exist in that open world environment. It is just a short, small area that doesn't have to think of all the other stuff. It doesn't have to keep loading up all the background stuff that's going to be coming because it knows where it's going. It knows the path has been set. And that's why it can look as good as it does. And that's why it can... they're selling you a promise, effectively, on what it should be like. It's almost like storyboards and concept art in a way. Modern trailers, I find. They're just showing you what their ideas for the game are. And yeah, it is easy to get caught up in the hype of, wow, it looks great, it's amazing, and that's what I really hope for. But then, yeah, you quickly realise, let's think about this. It's going to look good, but not that good.
Well, that sounds good, but not that good. So let's hope that they do it right, to be honest. While we're talking about stuff that I just dislike, let's go to GTA 5. GTA 5 story DLC is still coming. Take-Two admits it's misspoken. This was by Mike I'm out being social Harridance. Grand Theft Auto 5 story-based DLC to be on track again after comments from Take-Two's, I'm going to butcher his name, Strauss Zelnick, indicated the publisher had not spoken of such for plans for the critically acclaimed crime Opus. Check PSU.com on this, but basically there's talk about story DLC. Obviously, this is going to involve either goats or Ned Flanders, or maybe a mix of the two, and have a Ned Flanders goat.
Ned the goat, yeah.
Go to Reno, maybe. So yeah, I'm not a fan of GTA, so I can't really say much about this. Kevin, do you like GTA at all?
Well, I'm not like a big fan of the whole series because I didn't really play most of them. I played like the 4th, the 5th. I remember Liberty City Stories on PSP, and I can enjoy the games. I don't see the whole hype behind it. I don't know. They're good games. I enjoy them, but to me, they're not that special. It's just fun to take away your time with that game. I'm not really a DLC fan myself, as you have to pay for every single bit of DLC these days, where in the past it was like, oh, here's an expansion pack, loads of content for like $15, 15 euros, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. And these days when there's DLC, I rarely actually even look at it because mostly it's not worth it, in my opinion. So
yeah. I would say it's, with Rockstar though, they're very different in the way they do things, because all the DLC they've released to date has been free, but they've not made anyone pay a penny for the extra. And all of the time of waiting for the heist, people were still whinging about heists, month after month after month. Yeah, in that time, every month there was something new. Even if it's little things, they were giving it to you. You weren't having to pay extra cash. It's like that. And you think back to GTA 4. Instead of just putting out a DLC pack, they put out a couple of episodes of content. It was good enough to be a game in its own right to a degree. And then the same with Red Dead Redemption, where they had the Undead Nightmare pack, which was they still got very much layered in the old school idea of doing expansion packs. I think that's why they don't just rush out and say, here's another bit of content that should have been in the game. Because, I mean, when I finished GTA 5 the first time, it's a good 35 hours in, and then still many hours after that, still playing it and finding stuff and that's good value for your game. And then there's the online and added extra. And I just think that the people get impatient about it because you see all these companies that do the DLC because it's supposed to be stuff in the game and it's out 3 months after the game's been out. Oh, there you go. This is this expansion pack, and it's blatantly. I mean, Destiny's a very good example of this. That, we're 2 expansion packs in, and as Ben yourself has found that the stuff's there. It's there in the game, and they should have just given it instead of charging an extra £35 to buy it.
They leave most of the DLC on Destiny on the disc. I showed people how to get to them as well.
That's it. So yeah, people get pissy about it. That, it's taking so long to do this, and the other. It's because they care, because they want to do it right. I believe that's all of us now. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I can't believe. I don't know. I'm speechless, which is rare for me. Rare for me to have words of speaking. So while we're talking about speechless stuff, let's go to Samurai Warriors 4 2, coming to USA, Europe for PS4, PS3, and Vita. Tecmo Koei has announced that Samurai 4 will be hitting the PS4, PS3, PSVR in Europe on October 2nd. The game will also be hitting US stores this year, though release date has yet to be confirmed, even though I'm sure that's what I just said. It's Europe, okay. The release date has just been confirmed. The Tecmo Hack / will be fully replayable at the forthcoming, but in the past, London MCM Expo, because it was forthcoming when this article was written, but it was last weekend.
Yes.
Well, it's going on right now, but by the time you hear this, it'll be last weekend.
It's one of those time paradox things. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's future past. Developed by Omega Force, Samurai Warriors 4 2 is a re-release of the original Samurai Warriors 4, intended to offer gamers the definition version of the title. I'm tempted actually because I love me some Warriors games. So I might get it. Depends on money, of course, in October.
Yeah.
But chances are, I'll probably get this.
It's probably not going to be on my radar. I'll say that.
Even if it's just to make Chin happy. To make Chin happy is.
You aim to make Chin happy.
Chin is happy. A happy Chin is a happy chili. So, in case anyone knows, Chin is InspaChin on Twitter. He is the community manager for Tecmo Koei Games. I'd recommend to follow him, but a NSFW warning with following him is kind of Chin. That's the only way to describe him. So yeah, I'd recommend following him, but only if you're over 18 or can handle it. So yeah. Neil, what do you think of the new Samurai Warriors game, which is an old Samurai game?
So it'll probably not come up on my radar too much. It's just, it's at a time when everything else that I'm fully anticipating, Phantom Pain, pretty much taking up most of the end of the year for me. That and having another child in the house. So yeah.
Congratulations again on that.
I'm just going to mention it every week, so you congratulate me. It's great. So, until it actually happens, then I'm going to milk it for another year. So. Yeah,
keep adding on weeks.
It's like,
delayed.
Been born yet? No, still. So there's a Wales in the background.
2 years later. No.
It's a long gestation period. That's all it is. Yeah. Anyway, Warriors games, great fun, but yeah, probably not this time. Probably later.
And Kevin, are you back?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Well, no comment. I mean, never played it, and I don't really feel like I will. It's
But
one
will
of
you
those
follow
games
Chin
that's
now?
not really on my list.
But will you follow Chin? I think that's the big question.
I don't use Twitter that actively, so
So
no.
that means yes.
No.
Hey, don't make me do what I did with Mike and have Shahid Ahmed come on the podcast just to make someone use Twitter. I should get back on. He was an amazing guest. Just because we could annoy him so much about the Vita. We even got him to say something he wasn't supposed to. That was a good cast.
Oh.
Yeah, he talked about a game that hadn't been announced yet, but so we nearly edited it out in case.
Oh, sorry. Autocon just went off on my phone. Sorry.
Okay.
So, sorry, I've got an Autocon. I got Autocon. I've got an alarm clock on my phone that's Autocon from Metal Gear Solid 2, where he's I don't know if you played it, but where you upload the photos in the tanker section.
Have I played it?
And it's like, and yeah, there's like a little sprite version of Autocon, and it just says those phrases if you accidentally press it. So I would press it again, but you know.
So yeah, I think I'll look for some more news actually first, because I think we need a bit more news.
Do you need more news? More news? There's more news. Is there more news out there?
Yeah, we need more news. Oh, here we go. Here's some news.
Email us at.
I found news, guys.
We don't care what it's about. Just send us news.
Just send us news. Just random words. We'll read it out.
Is there a milk drought in your area? Tell us.
Is it the greatest
Local
milkman in the
pizzeria.
West?
Local pizzeria needs bigging up. You just get in contact.
Yeah, we'll give it a bit of a shout out. Woo!
Ooh.
God of War 3 on PS4 is around 20% bigger than the PS3 version, but it's not as big as your pizzeria. Pizzeria.
Now you got me.
PS4 version of God of War 3 isn't quite as big as you might think, even though we just said it's bigger. So that makes sense.
Someone's got size issues.
It's bigger, but it's not big.
It's not about the size; it's what it can do.
Yeah, it's all about that.
What it can do is it can whip out a 42 gigabyte size.
My stars. That's
Yeah.
something.
That's one big size. One of the file sizes subject to change, as was the case with Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. The list input, because it's all based on the camera.
Yeah.
The list inputs the action adventure tile at roughly 20% larger than the PS3 camera which clocked in at 35 gigabytes. Which
Tell
is
you
pretty
what.
big anyway.
Tell you what, you can't put that on a floppy.
There's going to be a lot of floppy disks. Try installing that.
No. Well, to be honest, if you were trying to install that, you would probably be trying to install it from when floppy disks were still around.
Yes, pretty much to this day.
You'd be finally playing it next month when it comes out, and you've got it in 1990.
So, what did you do this week? I installed an eyeball. That's great.
Anyway, God of War 3 Remastered is due out in July. Sony announced earlier this week that pre-order customers will receive a dynamic God of War theme. I'm not going to talk about this much because every time I do talk about it, I have to bite my tongue about what I want to talk about, because I would get in trouble if Sony
Wait
ever
till it's
listens to
released.
this.
Yeah, we'll wait for the release and then we'll say it.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. All I'm going to say is
That's it.
bad Sony.
Slap on the wrist.
Bad Sony. So I think we're done with news. I think we can go to our reviews now.
Ooh.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Just I want to say a heads up when the Life is Strange review comes around, because I haven't read it because I'm not up to date.
Don't worry, I only read the last bit about the...
Yeah, but if there's any spoilers in that last bit,
I won't read
avoid
it.
them. But yes.
I've
just done episode 2, so I'm just starting episode 3.
Okay, Brawl PS4 review. This is by John Paul Jones, and trust me, I downloaded this game and I do not envy this guy. I feel bad for this guy for playing this. It is one of the worst games I've ever played in my life, and I've played really bad games. I can't believe he gave it a 7. Leaps and bounds ahead of their previous effort, and this is can't believe how bad the last one must have been. Brawl might not have been the most polished title available, and the dark setting certainly feels overdone, but as a great multiplayer party title, the game arguably brings the feels where it counts. See, that's where I had an issue. I don't have friends. We like the provides a decent take on Borderlands style gameplay. Local multiplayer rarely fails to entertain. Different characters enable varied player styles. I played the guy in the wheelchair all the time. We dislike the single player boss fights can be horrendously frustrating. Needs more polish, a lot more polish. Dark setting fails flat. 7 out of 10. If I was reviewing, I'd give it a 4.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with it there, but I said.
John Paul Jones.
He does like his indies.
Yeah, he does like them.
Enough, so he views them in a more positive light than most, I'd say. So.
Any of you guys bought Brawl?
No, I was asked if I wanted to go to Poland to go and see it in the preview stage.
Actually, I would have done that. I would have done that for shits and giggles. I would have.
Yeah, well,
to
it's just
to that.
I literally couldn't because it was like last minute. And
What? Wasn't I invited?
and the last time I went to Poland was a disaster. So I don't know if I really should be back in that country. But
the last event I went to was in February, and I want to go to another one. Anyway,
I'll go to another one. Anyway,
let's go to the next review, which is Torrent PS4 review, a beautiful take on life and death. This was done by our greatest Russian, Gary. I'm not going to say his second name because I don't want to butcher it again.
It's Bagdazarov.
Bagdazarov. Yep, there we go. But I'd find a way to butcher it somehow. Boasting some superb art designs and fan battle puzzle mashups, Torian is a worthwhile experience let down by some shoddy combat and bugs. We like the art design, the brilliant soundtrack, the fun puzzle battle mashups.
Puzzle buttons? Puzzle buttons. Puzzle batons. It's a cheerleading thing. Awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Sold.
I'd buy that. We dislike the poor combat, the various bugs and glitches. That's because of the poor gamblers, because of the puzzle buttons, of course. Story can be hard to follow. He gave an 8 out of 10. Good review. I've heard very mixed things with Torrent. I've heard both ends of the spectrum, that it's very reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus. In its art style. Yeah, in art. I think it's more in art style than what it actually does, and that's probably what lets it down a bit from the sound of it. Kevin, have you seen anything about this Torrent?
I've seen the review, but that's about it. I don't know. It might be interesting, but it's not really something I will go onto PSN for and purchase it right away. So maybe if it's ever on PSN, or if it was on PSN, then
the whole sales, yeah.
Maybe I'll test it out then.
Yeah.
But
I'd say that's a good idea. I'll probably do that as well, to be honest. I'm not great with puzzle games. While we're talking about great games, though, amazing games that you should buy straight away. You shouldn't be reading this. You shouldn't be listening to this review right now. You should have bought it. You should just be buying it right now. 1 second. I'll give you 30 seconds to go purchase it. Once I send the name, I'll wait 30 seconds.
You're placing way too much faith in the PSN store.
Yeah, but you can load up while we're talking still.
Right, I'm going to time it. I'm actually going to time it as you do it.
Okay, Life is Strange, Episode 3, Chaos Theory. You should go purchase it now because it's Game of the Year.
I tell you what, I've only played the first 2 episodes, but I'm inclined to agree so far.
Okay, that's long enough. You guys should be on the PlayStation Store by now.
No, it's still loading. I now got to search, and it's still not. I don't know why I'm searching. I've got the damn thing. So.
Okay, while he searches for the game that he's purchased already,
yeah,
and there's no spoilers, so I can say this.
Well, there you go. I can add it.
Final word: Life is Strange. Episode 3 is another thrilling entry in this intriguing adventure series, featuring some of the best plot development to date. Also, we like the awesome cliffhanger, the brilliant story and characterization, some tough choices. We dislike some poor lip syncing. The trial and error puzzles can get slightly annoying, and the fact you haven't purchased it yet. 8.0 out of 10 is what might give it. I would give it a 9 or 9.5. But that's just me.
So far. But I said we'll talk about it at the end when we talk about gameplay, because that'll be one of my games played this week. So
I always remember the fact that Square Enix took me to the pub last year to play it.
Oh man, I hate you. I really do.
Well, no, I didn't get to play it. I just got to watch someone play it. But
I don't care. They took you to the pub.
Yeah, I had got to play the Tomb Raider game, got to watch that, and I got to play the remaster of Sleeping Dogs.
If you're listening, Square Enix, take me to the pub. Come on. Come on.
Eurogamer, actually, they had like a special booth for people that got invited.
Oh.
And they're not the booth in Eurogame, but you got invited by Square Enix, and they sent me an invite. So I went.
Alright. Any
Square
publisher.
Enix, I would love to do that again. So if you go to the pub again next year, you know
The beers are on you.
I don't drink, but I'll buy your drinks.
I'll have the drinks.
In fact, if I'm right, they were offering free drinks.
Oh man, I hate you twice as much now.
Okay, before I make Neil go into the Hulk, let's go into the next game. By the way, by Life is Strange. Lost Orbit PS4 review. A simple yet minimally playable dodge 'em up vertical scroller. So many words. This was done by John Paul Jones, the guy who reviewed Brawl. Made me sad. Gotta go. I missed the button where I could just go to end of review. I missed that button. We liked, final word, sorry, a simple yet immediately playable dodge 'em up vertical scroller. He loves to use that sentence, doesn't he? He just wants to get me tongue tied. A Lost Orbit will suck players in with its tight controls and wonderful constructed story. We like the pixel perfect dodge 'em up gameplay, the beautiful told story. We dislike the gameplay isn't varied enough and it all finishes far too quickly. 8.0 out of 10. I've not even heard this game before.
It just looks like one of those endless runner types, you know.
Go around fast.
Yeah, like your jetpack joyride or that sort of thing, you know, where you just go along until you die, basically.
But it says you're approached by Harrison. Obviously, you get approached by Harrison Ford.
Wow.
Obviously, this is what's going to happen.
Really?
Yeah,
That'd
it
be
says
awesome.
approached by Harrison, so obviously it's going to be Harrison.
I would honestly prefer it with Chewbacca.
That'd be amazing as well.
That'd
Maybe
be
that's a
honest.
bonus DLC.
Yeah, it's like he sort of growls, which means, have you got a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Yeah, that's just what happens in those games.
Because Wookiees are Christians.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know.
The Wikis celebrate like their own religion. What was it?
Yeah,
That's
it's
Sunday.
It's actually Christianity.
Wow. By the way, never watched that movie. I watched the Nostalgia Critic review in it, and oh my god! No, to be fair, it's one of the best Nostalgia Critic reviews I've ever seen in my life. I do recommend that.
There are definitely worse things out there than that, though. So.
I know.
Oh no, definitely.
I watched some pretty bad things.
How bad though?
So bad that I can't actually physically talk about it in this podcast.
Yeah, we have said that there's a whole bunch of stuff that would probably be best suited to a podcast where we just vent about those sort of things.
Dragon Ball Z, the movie.
Oh man, you see, I'm not even as big a fan as you, and I still think that's an affront to anything.
I got about 5 minutes. I got about 3 minutes into it, and said nope.
It's detestable.
Once Goku went to school and said he didn't want food, I turned it off thinking, no. No.
It was...
Why is Goku going to school? And B, why is he turning down food? It's food.
It makes Super Mario Bros. Movie look canon. Yeah. It is that shite. It just it doesn't do anything right.
You know, I feel a bit sick just talking about it. That's how bad it is.
The guy playing Goku, his hair, he just looks like he should be in an advert for Rimmel, for hair gel. And it's just like one of those, oh, look at me with my crazy hair. Whoa, yeah, angles, cameras. And it's just like, no. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say? Fuck off. Fuck off, Dragon Ball Z Evolution.
We might have to edit that out, maybe.
Yeah, it's a choice word. Had to have it in there. Yeah. So I felt strongly enough about it.
Movie needs it.
Yeah, it does. If anyone was really offended by that, that means you like that movie.
Yeah, that makes us sad.
And in which case, I don't want you to be a part of this podcast ever. You are stripped of your titles, ranks, clothing, all things you own, and you are banished from the land, basically.
Okay, well, we're banishing off everyone but our one viewer that's left, who is probably me. Neil, what have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing? That's a very good question. I have been playing Life is Strange, funny enough. I felt like catching up. I was just hearing so much good about it, and as I said, Don't Nod are one of my favourite sort of developers anyway. And yeah, it's just such an awesome series for what they do with it. The Walking Dead has a lot of that where you get emotionally involved in what's happening, and it's quite cool in that sense. But it's usually because there's like really crazy stuff happening, and that's understandable. It's just mental. With Life is Strange, it's very little things that just get you involved and angry. I think, without spoiling stuff, because it's not fair to, we're saying it's not finished, but episode 2 of the season, which I'm sure you know, is towards the end, and you can't, against that seemingly unsolvable problem, and you don't know if you could save that. I'm trying to be really vague here. It's terrible, but yeah, it really bums you out, and then you feel so angry afterwards for people's reactions to the event that happens, because they're just so blasé and like, oh yeah, it was meant to happen because blah blah, and you almost wish for that button that you have in Mass Effect where you just headbutt and punch people every time they get on your nerves in conversations. So it just tells its little story so well, and the soundtrack is so cool, and it's just it's easy to relate to the issues that Max has in the episodes. Just even now, me being a 33-year-old man, so I can still remember that sort of school time clique nonsense that you had. Just remembering how awful it can be. That's the magic of it. It captures it so well, and as a game, it has its flaws, and it's like the lip syncing is ridiculously out, and graphically it's up and down in places. But it's just, I don't know, it just does everything so well on the story front that it doesn't really bother me as much. As I said, of course, I haven't played Bloodborne yet or Witcher, but so far I'd say it is on course for being a Game of the Year contender, because it's just the stuff in it is so affecting.
I must admit, I'm loving it. I've beaten episode 3. I really can't wait for episode 4.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long 53-day wait.
No, this is it. This was the other thing. I kind of wanted to sort of take my time, because I thought, well, I'll have to wait between each episode and like that. But I don't know. It's
too good.
Last couple of days, I've just really got
stream it straight away.
I know. Well, when initially I wanted to review it when it was coming, and just the way things went with them doing a press junket for it, I didn't.
I would have loved to have reviewed it as well, though.
I would as well, because
previewed it before.
Because I don't know. I just this year I've not thought about the impact of the game's narrative as much as I have with Life is Strange. It just does. It just makes you think afterwards. Yesterday finished episode 2, and I just went to bed thinking about it, and it's just like, could I have done this? Could I have done that? And it's just like that. And the worst thing is at the end having that little stat sheet of what people did, and then knowing that you could have changed certain decisions, but knowing in your head that you would have had to have done something to straight in the first episode to make that change happen. And it's just a kicker. I mean, I'm trying not to change anything beyond the episode where the actual time travel aspect of it. But on my first playthrough, because I don't like to do that, I did it with the Walking Dead games as well. It's like I make my decision and that's it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Though, if you are a trophy whore, there is a mode where you can play where you can't change your decisions.
Yeah.
But you can still play through the game and get the photos for the trophy.
Yeah, that's it. At first, it was like the first episode, I barely got any of them, and the second, I got quite a few. But then I think it was just being more into it. It's like it's strong so far. It really is. It's like I always cite the where episodic gaming is concerned that the two standout episodes in any of them were the third episodes of both seasons of Walking Dead. Both did things that were just like gut punches or really big impact moments. It's like that. And yet, episode 2 of Life is Strange it just has that. And it's like, I mean, for me, I got slightly spoiled. I knew what was going to happen to a degree, and I was trying my damnedest to make sure that thing didn't happen. Like that, trying to think what would be the right answer to this, what would be the right way to go about that, and it still wasn't enough. And it was just horribly depressing to find that you're helpless to a degree, no matter what you chose. And
I mean that plant, poor plant.
And that's the worst thing. I killed the plant. I killed the damn plant.
I did send you a message in episode 1. Don't overwater it.
Which I did. So.
I didn't know I had the plant until the second episode.
Oh really? And I was like, I watered it in the second episode, and I was like, did I already do this once?
Well, I noticed it, but I couldn't find a way to water it. So.
And then I started episode 3, and it was like, yeah, it's dead. And like, oh damn.
At least you got that rabbit though.
Yeah.
Don't kill that rabbit.
Don't tell me there's even an option. I don't want to know.
I don't know. Episode 3 is the latest one, so.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm trying not to kill anything or get anything killed. Just,
I don't know if it'll be able to or not.
The thing about the game as well, it just reminds me, it's like Donnie Darko, the game, in a way. Just this whole time travel coolness and the indiness of it and the soundtrack. It's just, I don't know. If it had been me like 10 years ago, this would have been like me frothing the mouth going, oh my god, best game ever, that sort of thing, because it was just, would have suited me perfectly. But even now, it's still just a fantastically done game. And I'm just hoping that Square Enix were good enough to kick up the rest of the fun for this. Don't Nod, and hopefully Don't Nod get to do better things in future as well.
I want a season 2.
Yeah, I want a season 2. I would have Remember Me Too.
Yeah.
It was this is the other thing as well. They write really good female characters. So I know there was a lot of grumbling in the beginning of Life is Strange about, the dialogue sounds false, like that. It doesn't sound like kids talking. It's like, if you've heard kids talk, it's these days it is pretty much that sort of language. So my sister's about that age, the characters in there, and that is how kids talk. It really is.
Faux show.
Like that.
And down with it.
Other than that, I've been playing Ultra Street Fighter 4 on the PS4, which I'm allowed to talk about to a degree, even though it's not until Tuesday. And
PlayStation MVP people got 3 copies yesterday.
Yeah. And I don't know, I had problems with Street Fighter 4 in the first place. Now, I've been a long time Street Fighter fan. I played like 24 hours in a row of Street Fighter 2 when I got it on the Mega Drive many years ago, because I just loved it. Just learning all the different little nuances of it, and played all the versions and the crossovers and whatever that we got in the years after. But yeah, 6 years ago, getting Street Fighter 4, being so hyped for it, was just so disappointing. And it's hard to say why at the time. I think it was mainly a balance problem. Some characters were just easy to spam with, and just, I don't know, online with fighting games to me just doesn't feel as good as being in the same room as someone playing a fighting game. It's one of those things that needs to be head to head. Like, I just beat your ass, there you go, like that, and be done with it. So yeah, I'm wanting to enjoy it, but at the minute I'm not really enjoying it. But yeah, still a work in progress on that one. And what else have I really played apart from those two? I think not a lot. It's one of those weeks. Usual stuff, Minecraft. I play pretty much every other week anyway. And bit of Pez. That's it.
Damn you, can yeah.
Oh, don't. I'll be very upset. I almost feel like I'm playing Pez out of some weird terror that will be the last time I'll get to, because Carly will just go, you know what, yeah, we're starting today, we're going to just take all our games off of the network and be done with it.
I will never get the dream Konami game that I've always wanted and always will want.
Which is
a full-blown Yu-Gi-Oh game from Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 1 to, screw it, go up to Arc V, the new series of Yu-Gi-Ohs, and have it with the Morpheus.
suppose.
VR monsters. That would be amazing.
It's definitely got to be in the future.
Make even more money by having it so that you can do what whatchamacallit did, Eye of Judgment.
Yeah.
Have a way to scan in the Yu-Gi-Oh cards if possible.
Huh.
Or have DLC packs to make more money.
Yeah, it could work.
You can buy this theme deck for the normal price, or you can buy booster packs. Or do what Pokemon do. When you buy a Pokemon booster pack, you get a code which unlocks a digital booster pack on the online game.
Huh.
So they could do that with Yu-Gi-Ohs.
You could do. Anyway, that's all the games I've played, but we should definitely say, Kevin, what
Kevin,
have you been playing this week?
what have you been playing?
Well, The Witcher 3, because, I don't know, I've never played any of the actual games before that, so I was really curious about it when I saw the footage and the screenshots. So I was interested in what kind of game it actually was, because, I don't know, I never played it, and the collector's edition looked really interesting. So that was pretty much the thing that made me pre-order it as well. So I've been playing that, having a good time, enjoying it. Expected it to be worse actually than it actually is, because I never expected that I would enjoy the game. I thought I would just try out the game, feel like it's not mine, not really what I'm into, and then sort of discard it, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to be pleasantly surprised like that.
Yeah, so I was smiling when I realized I actually enjoyed the game as well, so it's good. So now I actually have something to use my PlayStation 4 more actively with, because I'm mostly a PC gamer itself. My PlayStation 4 is mostly for the exclusives, but sometimes there's this one game that I prefer to play with a controller, and then I just decide to go for PlayStation 4. So like The Witcher 3, Shadow of Mordor, same thing. If I pre-ordered Assassin's Creed Syndicate as well, the Big Ben case, because I love their special editions.
And I a copy of me.
But yeah, I pre-ordered that one as well, and if I'm not mistaken, I pre-ordered it for PS4, just because those type of games to me are more fun when you play them on TV or with the controller. And I don't know, if I play with PC, I prefer to use keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I'm the same with that. So that's pretty much where my PC gaming goes. It has to be mouse and keyboard games.
Plus, you don't have to wait a month.
Besides that, I have been playing Project Cars, which is brilliant in my eyes. I'm horrible at racing games, but I love it. The only thing I'm really disappointed about is the fact that the G27 of Logitech is still not supported by PlayStation 4.
As you said in an article this week, you wrote up, didn't you?
It's written, but it's not out yet. We mailed Logitech and PlayStation to see if we can get a statement, and I hope to see the article live soon. So yeah, I'm just curious, because also interesting today is that there were rumors about a Logitech G29. You can see a topic on the forums as well about it, and there's a picture of the wheel as well. And if you look at it, there's two different pictures, and in one picture you see a different logo in the middle of the wheel, and a sort of more modern, newer, minimalistic logo, and then the current Logitech gaming logo that's on their current game peripherals for PC. That logo is on another picture in the middle. So I'm a bit curious whether or not it's a real thing, or if it's just like a sort of mock-up thing. But the interesting thing about the whole wheel itself to me is that it had exclusively PlayStation buttons. So it had the triangle, the circle, the cross, it had the share button, the option button, and that's where I'm curious at, because to me, if this is an actual wheel that's going to be released, I'm going to guess they are gonna drop the G27 support and just gonna go for the G29 instead as a PlayStation exclusive, maybe. So that would be a shame because they would be pretty good off, a lot of cheaper as well, if they would just release an adapter for the G27 or G25 for those who still use that wheel. But
it's sad curious. That way.
I'm curious to see what is going to be the whole solution or eventual outcome of that situation. Because currently I have Project Cars both on PC and PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 because mostly the people that I know that play race games, if I want to play with them, well, they usually play it on PlayStation. So
yeah.
But I love racing with a wheel, so I got it on PC as well for that.
For me, I don't know. I've never gone with wheels as much. It's just one of those weird things with that. But yeah, it is weird that they just let it slide and try and flog out a new one, as it seems. I suppose you'll see soon enough if it'll probably one of those small announcements that gets made in E3 about the new gen wheel. But yeah, it's a shame they can't do something better about it.
Or maybe an amazing little indie company like the people that made Skullgirls makes a driver for it, and then people will use it.
Well, there actually is this thing that there's multiple options, but like the most known option around it is the M4, which is I think Mac or Match 4 stick, which is basically a stick you connect to your PlayStation, and then you connect your wheel, but on the side you connect a controller with a cable, because the stick, if as far as I could read and understand what it all was about, it basically meant that the stick would look at the controller and it would generate a sort of it would just make sure that the wheel would think, no wait, I'm confused here.
The console think it's the controller, but when in fact
yeah, exactly, that's what it was. And I don't know, as Neil just said, I wrote a sort of article around the G27 support for PlayStation 4, and I hope to have it live soon with more information about it. Stay tuned.
Kevin's being all proper journalist about it. He's actually going up to sources.
Journalism.
Gotta start young.
He's already done more than me, and I've been there for years.
Yeah, but you've hosted loads of podcasts and stuff, so.
The host / pester / randomly rant and chat. Yes, pretty much.
PSU goat.
PSU goat.
And the best carpet salesman in Scarborough.
Yeah, see, I'm all the things. So yeah, I want to say I should talk about what I've been playing now. I think that's okay. Yeah.
Hang on. I'll just check the rule book. Yes, you are allowed to say what it is.
Yeah, because otherwise, being the host, I could just end the podcast right now and just dead space.
Yeah, it'd be very dour.
So yeah, I think we should. I've been playing Farming Simulator 2015. I'm going to be reviewing this for PSU.com, and I hope to have the review early next week. I've also been playing The Witcher 3, which I actually had a big issue loading it up, because of course I curse everything I touch. This is a known fact on the podcast and on PSU and on Twitter that I curse everything. Video game wise, as soon as I touch it, it just breaks. Basically what happened was I couldn't get past the scene where Geralt was dreaming at the start. You know, when literally as you press the new game, it has that little cutscene and it has him like falling asleep, and it goes to the loading screen.
Yeah.
It would not go past that loading screen.
Oh, that's annoying as hell.
And if anyone else has that issue, don't send your Witcher copy in. What you got to do is delete your update data and then load it up. Delete your update and then load it up, because that's what causes the issue for some reason. Because once I've beaten that cutscene, I got a trophy. Congratulations, you did the first cutscene. It actually loaded just fine. But yeah, I was waiting for 15 minutes, thinking this seems like a long loading screen. And that's a big game. It's a long loading screen. Looked online, it's like, no, it's not supposed to take that long. And then when I deleted the update data, it took 30 seconds. I'm thinking, yeah, it was broken.
Yeah,
I've also been playing the Warframes, which I play all the time. And I spent more money on the Warframes because there's an event going on. Because why not? And apart from that, I haven't really been playing much. I'm looking forward to Magicka 2 next week though, which I will be reviewing for PS2.com as well. So all the reviews, all the writings. So yeah, that's what I've been playing recently. So I think we're pretty much wrapping up. I just got a couple of things before I go. First of all, I want to say another shout out for Thomas Gargan. I got another email from him. He said I listened to the week's show. Thankfully, I might read the email. Sadly, sorry, but Thomas, Mike's not here this week. But you got B reading out instead. I look forward to downloading MP3 every week. But he has a question this time, guys. He has
a question? I'm not prepared for questions.
You're not prepared for questions. You can have a question anyway.
No comment. No comment.
Do you think third-person games with 3D worlds, for example, Uncharted, work for Morpheus? I know many VR games are mostly first-person for the immersion factor, but I'd also be interested in playing a third-person game with a 360 display and a traditional controller. Thanks. Do you think Uncharted would work with the Morpheus?
Ooh.
The Matrix?
Oh, yeah, I mean, theoretically it would work, but stylistically probably not. Just, first person works to a degree because, you're not seeing something in front of you, you're controlling. The best sort of example I could think of work for a third-person game is something like Puppeteer, where you're controlling a puppet type thing. You could see your hands moving in real time, moving the character, and that sort of thing will work. But yeah, where you're actually just controlling an entity like that, it's like Nathan Drake. It's probably not going to quite have the same impact. It would just almost be gimmicky. Other stuff coming at you, but nothing you couldn't achieve with, say, a 3D display. Basically, would be what you're getting. Whereas, VR headsets with first-person stuff work so well because you are experiencing it a lot closer to real life. I mean, it's still not exact because your head movement isn't going to work exactly the same way in a game, and you still got a lot of control that you can't have because you're using, a controller rather than your body to move around. I think they'll try things like that going down the line because, like I say, none of it is uber realistic. But I just think it would be kind of pointless.
And Kevin, what do you think about this question from our good friend Thomas Gargan?
It's actually a good question because I was wondering myself as well how they would make it properly work. Because I mean, I have an Oculus Rift, the first dev kit, and I haven't seen a single demo myself where you play as a third-person viewer. So I'm not sure how that would actually fit. I mean, it probably would work, but I don't know if it would be as enjoyable as when you play in first person because basically, I don't know, it would feel like you're simply in a movie. Like you in the cinema, I mean, like you would be watching something happening as you or like the camera. You're not the actual person doing the actions. So I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting thing to try out, but I don't think I would actually enjoy games with that third-person view on virtual reality mix. I think first person is the way to go for virtual reality.
Yeah.
To be honest, my answer is go play Virtual Boy. Nearly all the games all the games, there's like 12, isn't there? But nearly all the 12 games are third person. So go try that out.
You mean that thing that flopped so very, 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 very hard?
Yeah, but it's 3Ds, it's VRs, it's reds, blacks, it's all.
It was a headache in a box.
Yeah. So go try the VR of the Virtual Boy.
That's
now in stores.
There's Ben's weekly promotion of shit products.
And I'm gonna say one more thing because I think this is what everyone comes to a PlayStation Universe podcast for. I think this is the main announcement right now. fact, I got
You deliver
one
pizza?
after this. No, I didn't order that.
From the pizzeria?
I don't like pizza.
Oh dear.
But anyway, this is
I'm
the
finding out
biggest
some terrible things about you.
PlayStation announcement ever. Sweden won Eurovision. Well done, Sweden. But congratulations, England. We got 5 whole points, so we did well. I know we're like 400 odd points away from first place, but we did 5 points, and that's better than the 0 points or 4 points.
I would like to say it was better than not turning up at all, but it's not.
No, it's not really. But still, we got 5 whole points, and I want to say congratulations, Electro Velvet.
Electro?
Can't remember what I think we're called Electro Velvet or something like that. So congratulations, England, for doing well, and congratulations, Sweden. You did a win. Well done. And my last article that I'm going to be talking about is my Call of Duty contest has been delayed till next week because there's only been 2 winners still. But if I get no entries by next week, both entries will get a prize. One person will get the Call of Duty Hardened Edition 360 special, and the other person will get a PSN voucher. So if you want to enter who is the protagonist that returns from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 2, email me at ben.showbithall@psu.com or podcast@psu.com or PSM me at Chile or Twitter me at Chile_UK or phone me at are you kidding? I'm not gonna add that. So yeah, so I've pretty much given out all my details now, so I don't need to tell you how to contact me because you know how to contact me from that. But Neil, how can they stalk you?
How can they stalk me? This is always a question. It'd be nice to be stalked.
How
But,
can Ned's the Speederino follow you?
yes. If anyone is interested in funding Ned for Speeder, that's a game. You could always contact me on the email at neil.bolt@psu.com, and I might take you seriously. Then I'm on Twitter at Nezko, which is NEZZKO, where I talk incessantly about nothing. And also I'm on PSN, where you can marvel my healthy collection of trophies of games that no one bothers playing. And that's Son of Venom, all one word, lowercase.
It's like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Kevin, how can they contact Reno you?
Well, first of all, at Twitter, which is just at Mr. Waxweasel. Do I have to spell it out, or?
Just say if it's lowercase or uppercase.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really think cases matter on Twitter, so I think you get the same result if you do it lowercase or
true.
uppercase.
Yeah. Oh, forget anything I've ever said then. Just look for it neat.
Yeah, so that works. So Mr. Waxweasel on Twitter, and then Kip Kebab 92 on PSN, because I was young and didn't really think of a proper name. Thank you, Sony, for not giving us a name change option yet.
I'll tell you what, you say that, I've just searched my name and there are 2 options. One is the lowercase and one is the higher case.
Yeah.
So the uppercase. So I'm not Nezzo, I'm Neil S. Bolt. There you go.
Huh. Well, for me, it's uppercase M, lowercase R, uppercase W, lowercase AX, then
Now
uppercase W, and the rest easel is lowercase.
Oh my god, what a twist. What a twist.
Are there any other contact forms though for you, Given?
I think that's all the contacts.
Is it all the contacts?
All of the contacts that exist. There's no more.
Unless you have smoke signals. No.
Yeah, you can contact me by pigeon as well if you want to.
Yes. I'm still taking telegrams.
Yeah, dug from above.
Lighthouse in the bay.
Well, I live in the beach, so
yeah, Morse code.
yeah, I can accept all the forms. All of the forms. A telegram. Yeah, you just find a way and I'll find it.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to wrap this episode up of whatever we just said. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in this entire podcast, really, to be honest.
It's much like Ubisoft working on Assassin's Creed Unity. A bunch of words came together and they sort of formed some ideas, But
Just hope we don't make anyone angry.
that's incredibly likely. But no one will tell us, so it's fine.
But it's okay. We won't patch the podcast. We'll just add free DLC later on.
If anything, we'll make it bloated with me rambling incessantly on about something.
So I think we're done here. I think I'm quite thankful the fact we're done.
Are you thankfully diddly dankle?
Yeah, I'm going to thank Diddly Godly for me. Thank Diddly... Diddly God for me. Goodbye, everyone.
Howdy diddly.
See you guys.